Level up your LA Kings experience with Vivid Seats Elite Seats. All the on-ice Kings action with even more exclusive access and rewards. Enjoy great seats to the game in Section 103 along with Yamava Club access and parking included with your purchase. Plus, get a free Team LA Kings shop item at the game. Score your Vivid Seats Elite Seats tickets today and earn perks on each purchase from the only leading ticket company with a rewards program. Experience it live with Vivid Seats, the official partner of the LA Kings. Do you know the LA Kings have their own culinary partner? It's Superfood, celebrating 10 years and over 1 million meals served. Since 2020, the Kings have trusted Superfood to fuel their players. Now through Simply Lunch, you can bring that same performance-driven food to your office. Because when people eat better, they work better. Visit mysuperfood.com. That's mysuperfd.com. Or call 213-973-6145. Qualified companies can enjoy a free lunch for up to 10 managers.
Lost it and a breakaway for the Breadman. Panarin in the clear. Shoots. He scores. Panarin.
You're listening to All the Kings Men, the official podcast of the LA Kings.
O'Reilly wide. O'Reilly. Glove save. Forsberg.
Now, here's your host, Jesse Cohen.
It's Monday morning. That means it's time to crown a King of the Week. Joining me to do so, Dennis Bernstein. How are you doing today, Dennis?
Doing great, Jess. Great to be with you today.
So, a good week. Obviously, I can never tell when I ask people to do these, although I did technically ask you to do this, I think, about at the end of the Edmonton Oilers game, so I had a pretty good sense. But Kings go 3-0 at the most important time of the year. It's their, if I'm not mistaken, their third 3-game win streak of the season, although technically it's a 4-game win streak, but before we dive into it, just a simple 50-50 question for you. Do they make the playoffs?
Yeah, they should win 2 out of 3.
Yeah, that's sort of how I feel about it. Yeah.
Right, they should win 2 out of 3. And that's if Nashville wins out. And I don't even know if Nashville win out.
Right.
If Nashville drops a game in regulation, they've got to win 1 of 3. And look, are they deserving to be in the playoffs? Well, this year they are. But if they can't get 2 out of 3 here after winning 4 straight and getting more confidence, they don't deserve it again. So it's on them right now. So which is what you want to be. You want to be in control of your own destiny. They have that. They've won enough games here to do that. So here's where we are as the Monday approaches.
Yeah, and in the words of the immortal Clint Eastwood movie, Unforgiven, deserves got nothing to do with it, right? If they get the point, they're in. I have to say, I was getting a little weary of all of the think pieces and social media reports I was seeing where people were like, are the LA Kings going to make the playoffs with fewer than 20 regulation wins? And I was like, well, there's 5 games left, and they have 19. Yeah. So, like, calm down. They'll get a couple more.
It doesn't. Look, you want to change the structure. You want to change the points. You want to change seeding. That's right. But this is the now. Yeah. This is not what prospectively should be changed or who doesn't deserve it. That's the way it's aligned. That's how you gather points in this league. So, does it matter?
And how many seasons was it 20 years ago or so that Washington was making the playoffs every year, playing in an unbelievably weak division?
Sure.
Or when Vancouver was making it 15 years ago when they were the clear powerhouse in a weak, or Western Division, Pacific Division, whatever it was called. I don't remember. But yeah, it happens. It's cyclical.
You can't poke holes in a team winning. You got to poke holes in something. So you got to poke holes in the way that the playoff structure is, which is fine.
Having said all that, we are here to give out King of the Week honors. So you know the format, the listeners know the format. So we'll start with you, your honorable mention for this week.
This is probably the hardest week because there's really 4 players.
Yeah.
Right? And normally you would think Forsberg, Panarin, Kempe, but Brent Clark, he's quietly become like a really important player in these wins. Heavy minutes, clean exits. And he hasn't been on ice against many goals against. So I think he's my honorable mention, but he could easily have been in the top 3 because he's clearly the best defenseman right now. And he should get 23 to 25 minutes next season. But for me, it's Brent Clark, but it could easily have been in the top 3.
Yeah, I believe at 5-on-5 this week, 5 goals on, 0 goals against when he was on the ice. That's pretty good, and I'm not even going to get into his blocked shots, but Zach Dooley and I talked about it recently when we were going over the awards.
I'm not sure you want this guy blocking that many shots, though.
Well, no, because obviously something can go terribly wrong, but regardless of whether or not you want him doing it, he's the one doing it.
He's doing the job. No, I get it. He's really matured as a defensive player. He really has.
That's a good pick. I am going I wasn't planning on doing it, but I'm going the sentimentality route.
Go ahead.
Anze Kopitar was named, I think,
Sure.
first star of the game against the Edmonton Oilers.
He was.
Despite having 0 points in a game where Forsberg got the shutout and Panarin had the game winner.
Yeah.
And obviously these are meant to be week to week, not lifetime achievement awards, but in what is likely to be his final regular season home game. Thank goodness it's not going to be his final home game.
Yeah.
I thought Anze Kopitar played well for the entire week. One of only a handful of guys with a positive Corsi rating on the week, even though they did escape with a win against Edmonton and a shootout win over Vancouver and a blowout against, a shootout win against Nashville and a blowout against Vancouver. Anze Kopitar continued to be Anze Kopitar and be the captain of this team.
He won the 4 faceoffs at the end of the game, and DJ Smith talked about that.
That's right. Yeah.
So 4 straight.
Yeah.
So
at the end of the game against Edmonton, none of his teammates could bury an empty net, which is going to be a problem someday. But and honestly, he probably gets this one more than anything for catching me off guard when his voice broke when he addressed the crowd.
I'm with you on that, Jess.
After the game,
shocked.
I did not expect it, and I spoke to a couple of people after the game, people that have been in or around the team. And it's not that I didn't expect him to be emotional. It's just that how many things like this has he done over the years and never shown?
Never come close to this.
Yeah. So when his voice broke, it totally caught me by surprise. I didn't expect it, and it was a nice human moment.
It's funny. I was downstairs afterwards, and in the green room, the Browns were at Nicole and Dustin, and I said, Nicole, I'm really close with Nicole. So I come out and go, the least emotional guy was emotional, and then Dustin walked out. I go, oh, I'm sorry, the second least emotional guy, because Dustin, I don't think I saw Dustin cry on the ice like that, but it was a touching moment, and it's emotional for all of us. Anybody that covers the team or whatever's been around Kopi that for 20 years, of course, it's a normal human reaction. But I was surprised too, Jess. I agree with you totally. I didn't expect tears from him. I expected maybe some emotion in his voice, but not to the extent of his voice cracking on the ice. It was a sweet, poignant moment for Anze, and a nice end to his regular season career.
And it's nice. I have noticed myself this year for multiple reasons being particularly, I don't know what the right word for it is, but cynical about the entire industry. Sort of like, okay, we're deliberately drumming up sentimentality here. We're deliberately drumming up sentimentality
trying
there.
To create moments when they're not there.
And you just go like, okay, and listen, I don't want to get too rude about it, but the thing with the harmonicas last year, where you're just like, okay, it was a nice moment once, and now we're just going back to the well over and over and over.
I agree.
So to have something that was actually authentic and genuine
and organic in the moment
couldn't possibly be scripted. I was just standing there in the press box, just really caught off guard, and was like, wow. 20 years, and then you do realize that the breadth of this guy's career, and it's easy because he's still playing and because this season has been disappointing to sort of go, this year and that year and this coach and that coach, and sort of look back at all things. But the reality is, as the day after he's gone, the organization is going to start missing him, and it's not going to stop missing him for decades.
Agreed.
That's the kind of
he should come back as
cast.
A special advisor to the team. If he wants to, they really need to do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's never going to be another player like him in franchise history.
No,
or if there is, it'll take.
That's one hell of a player, whoever it is.
Yes, it'll take 20 years for you to even realize that there was another player like him, and it'll probably be another 20 years before you even start the countdown clock. So I mean,
agreed.
So he's my honorable mention. All right, your runner-up, then, Dennis.
Third, you said runner-up, or it's. Honorable mention second and first?
Yes. So we're on the second place.
Kempe.
Okay. All right.
Goal, shootout winner. And through this 3-game stretch, despite what Panarin does, he's the most dangerous player on the ice for the Kings.
Yeah.
So he's my number 2.
It's funny. I wanted to get him in the list somewhere because I thought, especially with his shootout goal, against Nashville. Zach and I were doing our year-long awards ballots, and I'm sure you and John Hoven have talked about it at some point. not only is Kempe the winner, like the leader in points, goals, and assists, and Zach went through and counted up like how many games did he score the game tying goal, or important goals that didn't necessarily show up in that simple count of goals and assists. And I had not done it deliberately, but just had been looking back at my own personal thoughts on some of the games. The amount of times that he would score the first goal in a if they were down 3-0 and they mount a comeback, the amount of times that he scores the first goal in that comeback or the first goal of the game, or, and this is a rule that's sort of silly, but I guess I kind of get it, his goal against Nashville doesn't count.
Right.
It's the game winner.
Right. They call it the game deciding goal.
Yes.
As opposed to the game winning goal, right?
But it doesn't show up on his goal totals.
Right. Right. But he was the only one to get one. So that's
and a totally important goal. I wanted to talk about Armia and Lawton or Wright, but I mean the reality is, I wanted to get in Kempe as well. I didn't wind up choosing him, but I'm glad you did, because I think he needs to be talked about. He had 2 goals this week, aside from the shootout goal, which really sort of gives him 3. He was a +2. Another that top line, I mentioned Kopitar, one of the only few guys that had a positive Corsi. That line, Kopitar, Panarin, and Kempe, and Jeff Malott in 2 games. That's it. That's your list of guys with positive Corsi for the 3-game stretch.
Right.
He had the highest expected goals for percentage. 3 goals for when he's on the ice, 1 goal against the 5-on-5. And really, where is this team in Kopitar's final stretch without a supporting cast of Adrian Kempe?
They're 8-10 points out of it. They're not here. They're not in the spot that they are. They're not in the verge of clinching. So he's their MVP. Clear cut. I mean, it's not even close.
Yeah, no, it's not. It shouldn't be debatable. And so he's your runner-up. All right, then my runner-up for the week is Artemi Panarin. And it is the 7th week in a row since being acquired and playing games for the Kings. Sorry, 8th week in a row. No, 7th week in a row. 7th week in a row that Artemi Panarin winds up showing up on this list.
Sure.
He gets the game winner against the Edmonton Oilers, and maybe I put too much stock into this, Dennis, but I thought in a matchup between the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers at this point of the year, with both rosters missing high-profile offensive players, for the Kings, one bona fide in his prime superstar to get a point in a game where the Edmonton Oilers won bona fide offensive superstar. I guess maybe you could count Bouchard if you want to, but I'm choosing not to. Okay. For Panarin to get a point in a game where McDavid didn't, I thought was special and important in and of itself as an accomplishment.
Yeah, he's a star. He's a superstar. He is.
Yeah,
I mean, even on the off nights, he gets a point. And that's the great thing about star players. They accumulate points, like secondary assists, but his vision, like his patience, his pinpoint passing. And I think, for me, the ironic part about yesterday, Jess, was a lot of people from Edmonton think Evan Bouchard should win the Norris Trophy. So the fact that he stripped Bouchard, went in, finished on Ingram, who had a great game. He was fantastic in net for Edmonton Norris. And that play could cost the Oilers the division title.
Yeah.
I think that's the irony of it. They've been talking, and I talked to Edmonton people, Bouch, he gets, when Carlson had all those points he won, but how come not Bouch? I go, well, you saw the play. That's why. This guy, in the moment, makes big plays. He's been fantastic for this organization and more important for the fans. Just, we don't have to say, we're stating the obvious here. He's galvanized the offense. It's a different, I get it. They're playing off the rush now. They're forechecking more. But it starts with Panarin. Like, he's changed the dynamic of this team offensively. So it's and I watched him, like I have the center ice package, so I watch Ranger games. Never watched him as closely as I watched him here for the 25 games or so he's played. This is an exceptional player that is special and we've said it before. They haven't had a player like this in Ziggy Balfi. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and I'm not. I mean, it's been so long since Ziggy Palffy was here. I'm not even interested in the who's better conversation because I don't remember. Right. I will say this. I don't think they're the same kind of player. I don't think they've ever had a player like Panarin as far as wingers who are playmakers. Like, Palffy did a lot of things great. I don't remember him being a playmaker, but the really nice thing about Panarin for me is he's an imperfect player. There's no such thing as a perfect player, right?
Like, he doesn't back check.
Yeah,
you'll see some goals against they're on us, and he's the last guy back. So what?
But he does pour in points.
He does.
Like even
he's a point
in nice,
game player.
Yeah, and even in like, I mean, I think I went back and tried to, because I was talking to somebody and I was like, well, he doesn't score as many points as you think he does, and when he's not scoring points, I'm not sure, whatever. And then I went back and looked at his actual game log with the Kings, and I want to say maybe there's 3 games or maybe 4 where he hasn't scored a point.
And he might have been dangerous in those games too. There's 2 or 3 shifts a game where he's dangerous, and that's what you want from a star player. That's what you get. It was one of the best trades in franchise. I get it. He's only here for 2 more seasons, and whoever happens after that. But he has changed his team. There's no question. If they had him, and I'm saying do this when. What they never had against Edmonton in the playoffs, Jess, was a counterpunch.
Yes.
Had they played them with him, they would have a counterpunch. And they have it now. But, he's been such a, not a revelation, because he's a star player, comes in with a reputation, but he's lived up to it coming here to LA.
Well, and that's why I think I said, to me, the highlight of that game was that, Connor McDavid had that game against San Jose last week.
He did.
Where he basically single-handedly ended San Jose's season.
No question.
And he was coming off of that game, and in the first 10 minutes or so, he looked active against the Kings.
Yeah.
He looked like he was trying to do it by himself.
Yep.
And I was nervous because it's Connor McDavid. There's one guy in the league.
And you've seen it before.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh no. And then the turnover, and for the first goal of the game to come not from Taylor Ward on a deflection off of somebody's butt, not from a long bomb from Joel Edmondson that was a seeing eye puck that deflected off of 3 different people, but from a beautiful highlight reel play by the Kings' only real answer to Connor McDavid. Agreed. As far as offensive power.
Yep.
He scored it. And that I thought was important. And just real briefly, again, this doesn't go into the weekly part of it, but I had it a second ago. 26 points in 23 games for Artemi Panarin, and a +10, whereas the player, I don't mean to pick on a guy who is not around to defend himself, but the player he is most frequently compared to on the LA Kings currently sits at a -11.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yep.
All right. I suspect we're both going to have the same king of the week then. So who's the king of the week?
Player number 31.
Yeah.
Clear number 1 for me. Stopped 29 against Nashville, 24 shots against Vancouver. He had a shutout and 27 stops against Edmonton. That's 80 saves in 83 games. And he slammed the goal, and he won a shootout, which he doesn't like, but he seems to win. So clearly he's the guy. If I was DJ Smith, and he probably disagrees with me, he'd play all 3 games here. Like maybe you sit him out against Vancouver, maybe. But how do you tell this? And I asked DJ this. How do you tell this guy's not going to play now? Like how can you say, oh no, we're going to sit? Like he's rested. He didn't play a lot. He should be rested. So if this was Saros or Vasilevsky or Sorokin, they'd be playing all the games. This guy's earned it. He deserves it, even if he plays 2 out of 3. But he's a major cog, not the reason because the other players have played well, but a major cog in this 4-game winning streak, certainly.
Yeah, and I've been saying it for a few months now, and God bless you for keeping the conversation alive. Were this an hockey market with a more veteran, more aggressive, more a media market with a larger, more rabid audience, the conversation of a goalie controversy would have loomed large and loud for the last few months.
Look what happened in Edmonton with Stuart Skinner.
Yes,
absolutely, sure, of course.
It just
maybe
would
if
have
Mark
been
Spector sat next to me in LA, maybe it would have been a different conversation. But
right,
you're absolutely right, Jess. There was no pressure on the goaltending change. It would go to Forsberg earlier.
And when Darcy Kemper was struggling, and to be clear, I think it's pretty. I mean, I don't have to say. I think it is obvious when the struggles for Darcy Kemper began. Yep. It was when he got hit in the head by Rantanen. It's a completely different player before that and after that. And I understand all of the internal reasons for wanting to honor contracts and reputations and players and relationships.
Yeah, there's loyalty. There's loyalty, Jess.
I get it.
He's
but
in the
at some point,
right.
but at some point, Anton Forsberg has clearly proven himself to be the more reliable goaltender down, in the last however many months. Yeah. And this week,
at that point, was like game 72, right, or game 74. It wasn't game 60, right?
Yeah, but so for the last three, for this past week, he started all 3 games. He won all 3 games. 9.64 save percentage, 0.97 goals against, 1 shutout, 1 shootout win. And, it's hard to judge fully because the schedule is so favorable for the Kings down the stretch. But that's not his fault.
No.
Like, he can only beat the teams that he faces, that he's in net for. And it happens to have been Vancouver, who is not very good. But regardless of how strong the schedule is, Edmonton is a team fighting for playoff seeding. Nashville is a team fighting for its playoff life.
Yep.
And, in none of those 3 games did the opponent not pose a threat.
Yeah. Well, Vancouver beat Colorado a couple weeks ago, 8-6. They beat San Jose on Saturday night in a shootout. All right, and here's the thing. When he played Nashville, he didn't give up a goal to Forsberg from the goal line, right? He's made all the stops you need to make, the routine stops. Like, he's made some great stops, and he's had some help. And should we not mention Cody Ceci in a positive light for once, taking that puck off the line? But Anton hasn't given up bad goals, and that's the thing. Darcy stretch, he's made some good, but there's been 1 or 2 goals that you say it's stoppable, and the ones that beat Forsberg, they haven't been stoppable. He's been exactly what this team needed in net, and he deserves the number 1 star of the week without question.
He shut out Edmonton, and he allowed 1 goal against Vancouver, but that 1 goal, I'm not sure what he was supposed to do. It bounced off of Dumoulin's skate.
Dumoulin's skate, right?
Like, what he's supposed
to do? If it doesn't hit Dumoulin's skate, it probably goes wide, and maybe he has to shut out.
So tremendous week for Anton Forsberg. So congratulations, Anton Forsberg, this week's King of the Week. Dennis, I've said the more interesting conversation, because people say, like, oh, well, who's going to start the 3 games down the stretch? It's Seattle, Vancouver again, and then Calgary. I would personally start Forsberg because they still haven't clinched a playoff spot.
Agreed.
But at this point, I don't know what the odds say it is as far as making the playoffs. But, I mean, they should make the playoffs at this point.
Oh, you're going to trust them now to win every game? No, I don't.
I mean, not every game, but I
play your best goaltender until you clinch.
But then the more interesting conversation to me is who starts game 1 of a playoff series. And I know who I would start, and I suspect I know who you would start.
The hotter goalie.
But I mean, that would presumably be
here's my question to you. Is there a decision to make here? Is it not clear-cut? To me, it is. You're playing Forsberg.
It's totally clear-cut to me, but I thought it was totally clear-cut when they started, last week against Nashville and Toronto. Well, Toronto, I guess. I thought it was totally obvious, and they went the other way. So,
well, DJ had said it's Darcy's net. He said it to me. A week, 10 days ago.
Yeah.
See how stuff changes? It changes. It changed based on performance. You can't give me the logic right now, short of them winning every game 6-5 and him giving up 5 goals a game. Forsberg, give me the logic of starting Darcy Kemper for game 1, and I like the player. And he won. He was the Vezina finalist last year, and that means nothing this year. Like, I don't see the logic in going with Darcy other than, well, he won a cup, he's got experience in the playoffs. That doesn't matter either when you're playing at that level. They're playing at 2 different levels, Jess. The guy playing at the higher level needs to start game 1.
Yeah, it's just that eventually, and I agree with you 100%. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Eventually, you will need both.
Oh yeah, I get that.
So I don't know.
I get that.
Here's another random dumb question that, again, presumes a Kings team that makes a playoff spot.
Yes.
I think as of today, I could be wrong at the time of this recording. Maybe it'll change with the results that come later tonight. But I believe at the time of this recording, there are 6 potential outcomes still possible. The Kings could still miss the playoffs. the Kings, I think, could still theoretically win the division, meaning that they would wind up playing Utah, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They could finish wild card 2, which means they would play Colorado.
Right.
And then based on how Vegas, Edmonton, and Anaheim seed and how the Kings seed, they could wind up playing Vegas, Edmonton,
2 or
or
3.
Anaheim.
Right.
So
it's crazy.
So of the potential 5 playoff opponents, who do you definitely want and who do you definitely not want?
Ducks, because they don't play defense.
That's
and
who
I
you
don't
would
think,
like to play.
Yes. I don't think game will translate into playoffs. Right, but you have to tighten up really defensively. Anto Style hasn't been great either. Colorado, they're the best team. That's the one team you don't want to play. I give them a shot against any other team. I'm not giving them a shot against Colorado. I'm giving them a shot to win a game, but there's just too much talent on that team. Unless Wedgwood falls down, hurts his ankle, and Blackwood isn't any good.
Right.
That team is just so stacked and so loaded. And the Kings never play well against that team. They always seem to be overmatched against that team. The game in Colorado was a little. They were competitive for maybe half the game, Jess.
Yeah.
But that's the one team you don't want to play. There's just too much talent.
Yeah, I would like them to avoid Colorado as much as possible. And as much fun and as cool a story as it would be for them to win the division, I don't want Utah in the first round.
No, Utah's legit to go to the conference final, Jess.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me
and they embarrassed them the last time they played each other.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And somebody asked what the best team in the Pacific was on some radio spot I did. Yeah. I said Utah. Because they're basically in the division. They're going to cross over, and they're going to be in the division. Yeah. They can certainly beat the winner of the division, even if it's Edmonton. Yeah. And they can beat the winner of Vegas. That's Vegas Anaheim. They got the best. They got the best seed of everyone in the West. They don't have to beat their brains out. Like they won't. Colorado will play a harder team in the second round than Utah will, and they finished fourth, and they finished
question.
First.
The two teams. I agree with you about Anaheim 100%, and not to mention it would be cool. It'd be only the second time the two teams played each other in the playoffs.
Yeah,
but
great.
For the Kings,
it would be great.
For the Kings to have road games in Anaheim for Kopitar, that way, if you really wanted to, you could watch every game.
Every playoff game he plays, yeah, for the first round. Sure. Great point.
And weirdly enough, the second team, if I'm ranking them 1 through 5, for multiple reasons, it's Edmonton. Not the least of which is I'm not sure you can hurt me emotionally anymore. 4 in a row, that was no good. 5 in a row, fine, whatever. Who cares? Doesn't matter.
I think that I think fans should be grateful that the scenario wasn't. If the Kings had lost yesterday, they would have been eliminated from the playoffs by Edmonton. Even though not playing them in the playoffs 5 years in a row, they're a team to knock them out of consideration.
Yeah.
Here's the problem, though. Even let's say the unforeseen happens and they beat Colorado. They're staying in the West, though.
Yes.
So you're going to beat Colorado in the winner of Dallas, Minnesota? Okay. Then I guess DJ Smith should win the Jack Adams, right? So even though it's not for the playoffs, but I get the Edmonton part, and Edmonton's more beatable.
Yeah, especially without.
But they were beatable last year too.
Yes,
look what happened.
No, for sure.
So, yeah.
Last question, I'll let you go. I have said repeatedly, I don't think whatever happens in the playoffs should factor into an evaluation of the team and where it is and where it's come from and what the season looked like. My attitude is, listen, if you make the playoffs, it's almost exclusively on the back of the division being soft enough that you get in. Sure. If you do well in the playoffs,
great.
So for me, even though I think a Western Conference final run, depending on where they finish, if they crawl into the top of the Pacific, I don't see why they couldn't make it to the Western Conference final.
Right.
But I don't want that to factor into the evaluation of anything at all. Like that could just be a coincidence.
Right. But I'll say this, but then when you evaluate them, you have to evaluate them with a healthy Fiala. And like, what if Kuzmenko was healthy and he's on the third line? Well, but you're right. There are gaps and holes in this team, and everybody knows where it is. It's on the blue line. Has to change. You're 100% right. Whatever they do at game 83 and beyond has no bearing on the work that Kenny Holland has to do in the offseason. Has to find a center, has to get a puck-moving defenseman, and look at some other stuff. But I agree with you. It should not mask the deficiencies on this team, and there are multiple ones.
And Kopitar, I think people talk about it, and I'm probably certainly guilty of this in the past. When you talk about his departure, it's easy to look at it exclusively as, oh, you're losing your number one center.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also losing a captain.
Yep.
Captain for 10 years now?
Yes.
And
I think he's the longest tenured captain in franchise history.
Yeah. And then you're also losing, and this is probably the least important of the things you're losing, but I do think there's value in it. You're losing stability, institutional knowledge.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the locker room, I was in the locker room the other day after practice, just looking at the way the locker room is laid out.
Mm-hmm.
And, the horseshoe is set up, right, with Dowdy at one end by the goaltender. Right. And he's the top of the horseshoe. And when Brown was here, it was him and Brown at the top of that horseshoe. Yep. And so next year I was just thinking, like, man, who, even if it is Kempe,
it has to be Kempe.
His voice won't carry as
like. But I said, he does stand up in the. But I agree. But Kempe does talk to the media. He stands up in the room after losses.
Totally.
He actually speaks more than Kopitar does. Yes. And the most important thing, he signed on for full freight. He signed on for 8 years. He made the commitment. You made the commitment back. Put the C on him. He's a very good leader. He's grown as a leader, to be honest with you.
No, and I don't say it as I get your point. Insult to him, right? Like it's just you're losing
but he's not Kopitar.
You're losing this.
He's not
gravity.
a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Right.
He's the GOAT. You could argue he's the GOAT, right?
The shadow he casts, the gravity he possesses,
of course,
the game has the LA Kings organization has revolved around him basically since his first game in Anaheim back in 2006.
Yeah, agreed.
So that'll change.
You can't replace that. Agreed.
Yeah. All right, Dennis, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it as always. And we will see you. Well, I won't see you because the last 3 games are on the road, but hopefully I'll see you back at Crypto for games 3 and 4 of the first round series against whoever it is.
Whoever it may be. Exactly. Yeah. Well, Jess, if they get to the second seed in the West, it'd be games 1 and 2.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah,
you
that's
never know, Jess.
Right, yeah.
Who knows in this crazy
Forgot that was even on the table. But yes, you're right. I'll see you back at Crypto for the playoffs. Let's put it that way, regardless of what games they are.
Always appreciate the invite, Jess. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Dennis.